Roughly 8 years ago, my marriage to my ex-wife, Leela, fell apart shortly after our twins were born. We hadn't been together long, only about a year and a half before we found out she was pregnant. The news threw us both for a loop, and like many, we thought staying together might be the best choice for our kids. You know how people assume children can magically fix a shaky relationship. Honestly, we weren't the most compatible couple. We had some good times, sure, but the spark was never deep or enduring. When the pregnancy came up, I hoped we could grit our teeth and build something lasting. Truth is, we were like fire and ice, never quite mixing. Still, for the twins' sake, we gave it our all. At first, things were decent. We had our fair share of arguments, like any couple, but nothing catastrophic. We figured out a co-parenting rhythm that worked, and things stayed civil. Then Leela met someone new, a man she believed was her future. I understood her need for a fresh start, and honestly, I wasn't heartbroken. Our bond had always been fragile. We parted ways amicably, settling into a co-parenting routine. Things ran smoothly. We split custody evenly, kept our talks focused on the kids, and put their needs first. We were committed to shielding them from our personal differences, and we worked hard at it. Since we shared time and expenses equally, there was no need for child support payments. About 2 years later, Leela got serious with her current husband, not the first guy she dated post-split, but someone new. He had a daughter the same age as our twins. Leela introduced him and shared that their relationship was getting serious. I supported her efforts to create a stable home for our kids, so I was fine with it initially. It seemed like a positive step. But then Leela started suggesting I treat her stepdaughter as my own. I have no issue with the girl, she's just a kid in a tough spot. But Leela began pushing for me to include her stepdaughter in every activity I planned with my twins. I explained calmly that while I understood her desire for harmony, I wasn't the stepfather here. My focus was on being the best dad I could be to my own children. She kept pressing, though, and it started complicating my time with my kids. Every outing or gift became a debate about whether her stepdaughter was included. I didn't mind the occasional inclusion, but it became an expectation. I wasn't trying to be difficult. I just didn't think it was fair to be pushed into a parental role for someone else's child. Over time, anything special I did for my twins sparked a reaction if her stepdaughter wasn't treated identically. Once, Leela got upset because I didn't spend as much on a gift for her stepdaughter as I did for my twins. That was my breaking point. I decided to set firm boundaries and focus solely on my kids. I explained this to Leela, and she didn't take it well. She called me selfish, accusing me of refusing to support her whole family. But I hadn't signed up for her vision of a giant blended family. I reiterated that my responsibility was to my twins. After that, we shifted to parallel parenting, sticking to our own schedules, no household blending. It simplified things and let me focus on my kids without constant pressure. Still, Leela occasionally brought it up, acting like I was wrong for not parenting every child in her home. Her situation grew more complicated. She and her husband had a baby together and later took in his nephew. Now her household included our twins, their stepsister, a cousin figure, and a half-sibling. She tried to treat them all as one unit, but I made it clear my role as a parent stopped with my twins. Then came the school trip issue. My twins go to a small school with combined grade classes, so they're in the same class as their stepsister and cousin. It's an unusual setup, but it works. The school planned a big trip, an interactive museum experience that had my twins buzzing with excitement. I was thrilled to cover the cost. When I told Leela, her response caught me off guard. She went quiet, then asked why the other kids couldn't go too. I thought she was kidding, but she was dead serious. She argued it was unfair for only our twins to go if their stepsister and cousin were left out. I reminded her that my responsibility was to our twins, not her entire household. I suggested she and her husband could fund the other kids if they felt strongly about it. But she doubled down, saying it would emotionally harm the other kids and strain their bond with my twins. Her husband jumped in, accusing me of fracturing the family. I asked him point-blank why I should be footing the bill for kids who aren't mine. He acted like I was the bad guy for setting a boundary. They kept pushing, claiming I was causing emotional damage and being heartless. I stood my ground, saying I just wanted to do something special for my kids without being guilt-tripped into funding her household. The conversation went nowhere. A few days later, Leela asked to meet face-to-face. We sat down at a diner, and I knew it wouldn't be a casual chat. She launched into a speech about how this wasn't just about the trip, it was about setting a precedent for fairness. She brought up future vacations, parties, and family events, suggesting I should contribute equally for all the kids in her home. I was floored. She was essentially asking me to bankroll her entire blended family. She leaned on the emotional angle, claiming unequal treatment would breed resentment among the kids. I calmly reminded her that only 2 of those kids were mine. She wasn't satisfied. She said if I truly cared, I'd support her whole family. Then her husband showed up, whether by chance or design, and piled on, accusing me of building walls and being unfair. I told him my duty begins and ends with my twins. He claimed I'd be to blame if the kids grew distant. I called him out, saying he only pushed this "we're all family" idea when it involved my money. I'd had enough. I told them if they wanted equality, that was their job, not mine. I left the diner exhausted, but certain I was right. The pressure didn't stop. Leela's relatives started texting me. Her sister said I was hurting the kids' happiness. Her mom called, implying a real man takes care of the whole household, even if it's not his. I politely disagreed and ended the call. Her brother posted a snarky comment online about real dads. I deleted it and moved on. Her husband even confronted me during a drop-off, repeating his guilt-trip speech. I reiterated that I'm responsible for my kids, not everyone else's. It was draining. I vented to friends who were shocked. One joked that Leela and her husband should crowdfund if they cared so much. I realized arguing with them was pointless. So I made a final call. I'd hold my boundaries firm. I sat my twins down and reassured them the trip was just for them and they didn't need to feel guilty for enjoying it. They were thrilled and it eased my stress. I called Leela and laid it out clearly but respectfully. I'd keep doing right by our twins, but I wasn't responsible for her household. She tried to guilt me again, but I shut it down and said it was final. She ended with a curt "fine," trying to make me feel bad. It didn't work. The next few weeks were peaceful. No more messages, no more pressure, just calm.